I'm not entirely sure everyone's going to like where this video goes. Hey everyone, I'm Jack Fossett and welcome to Real Guitar Talk. This is the series where I'm talking about real things that I think pertain to guitar players nowadays that aren't talked about as openly as I would like to hear them. Today we're going to talk about what do you actually need for guitar gear. And spoiler alert, the answer is very little. And I appreciate that this may come across with some level of hypocrisy. I obviously have more than respectable gear collection, but I'm not necessarily saying it's bad to have a bunch of gear. I obviously like gear, and the whole point of this channel is to share cool gear with all of you. But what do we actually need? And I think it's important to kind of pare it down sometimes and really stop and think about what we have. Now, I am going to say that yes, you need a guitar. And I'm not saying that from a marketing or influencer standpoint. I hate that stupid term. I'm not saying it from that kind of standpoint. I am saying it from a human standpoint. Now, some people might say like, well, all you need is food, shelter, and water, and air to breathe and stuff like that. Well, obviously, there's a hierarchy of needs. Now, I can't say this any more eloquently than our second president of the United States, Mr. John Adams. And Mr. John Adams had a very famous quote where he said, "I must study politics and war so that my sons may have liberty to study mathematics and philosophy. My sons ought to study mathematics and philosophy, geography, natural history, naval architecture, navigation, commerce, and agriculture, in order to give their children a right to study painting, poetry, music, architecture, statuary, tapestry, and porcelain." See, the interesting thing is that even though music might not be at the top of the hierarchy of human needs, it is there. It's not just something that we do for fun or to entertain ourselves or to fill the time. There is, from a Catholic perspective, I think there's a deep spiritual desire, connection, and need to create to create in general. That actually refers to all the arts, and specifically we're talking about music. But I don't want to go too far down the spiritual road for this video. But my point is that it's not just something we do. It satisfies something kind of deep within our souls, and guitar is a significant tool in expressing that. And all you need to do is look in human history, and when times were rough, people soothed their pain with art and with music and things like that. This is part of the way that we survive the broken world that we live in, if we're being perfectly honest. So, okay, all that whole preachiness out of the way. Yes, you need a guitar. You need to play music or whatever else you do. Do you actually need much more than that? The things that I'm going to say that you need are you need a guitar and you need the means to, let's say, broadcast it. And that can be different things depending on what sort of situation you're in. So, the obvious one is if you're playing electric guitar, you need a guitar and you need an amplifier. And honestly, that's really all you need. If you're an acoustic guitar player, maybe all you need is an acoustic guitar, but maybe also if you're a songwriter, maybe you need some means to record it. If you're someone who just like has that desire, that kind of burning desire in your soul to write and create music, yeah, you need a way to create it. You need a way to share it. Again, even that, you look back at centuries past, people who played music, they didn't necessarily have a way to broadcast it in a way that would last like recording, but they would hopefully, in many cases, write down their music so that it would last to the next generation. So all those things I'm kind of considering broadcasting, some way to get your music out to people. You need those things. And honestly, that's all you actually need. We live in a world of abundance. And honestly, the point of this video is to take stock and appreciate that. Because yeah, I like all my gear. I love it. I play all of it. I take a lot of time to play all the different guitars, all the different amplifiers, all the different pedals in various combinations. And as I've mentioned in other videos, there is some truth to the fact that, yeah, getting some new gear can inspire you in different creative ways. But that's different than needing it. And sometimes it's good to pare it back. It's good to pare it back and think about the bare minimum and think about a world that you live in where, think about a dystopian future where so much of everything is gone and you come across a guitar. And, maybe it's not even a guitar that you like. Maybe it's a Daisy Rock guitar that's shaped like Hello Kitty. Okay? But in this world of ash and dust, you might look at that guitar with like fondness okay, there would still be a little bit. I feel like even in that situation, I would kind of be like, really, that's the guitar I come across. Okay, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, how deeply appreciative would you be that you had a guitar in your hands, that you were able to actually play guitar? Now, granted, the strings would probably be rusty and breaking and things, but let's not get that detailed about the metaphor here. My point is that sometimes we do get too focused on the consumerism side of it. Absolutely. We get too much into, oh, I need this pedal, oh, I need this amp, oh, I need that. And the reality is, no, we don't need it, we want it. And I'm not going to say that that's necessarily a bad thing unless you really allow yourself to believe that you need it. Unless you allow yourself to believe that, oh, well, this next piece of gear is going to be the one that solves it. Because there is that reality too. We see the memes and stuff, but it's like, what's your favorite guitar? The next one. Or, as soon as you buy a piece of gear, you kind of just start looking for the next one. There's that sort of insatiable desire to have more, that shot of dopamine that we get in our brains. But we really need to stop and take stock of all that we have, and again go back to, what is it about this that satisfies something deep inside, rather than just how much fun it is to get new stuff. It's fun to get new stuff. It's totally fun. This is an interesting, in case any of you are martial artists, I don't really talk about this much, but I'm actually a martial artist, and it's a similar thing in martial arts. If you get a new technique, if you're a martial artist, you probably will be able to relate to this, or maybe even other things. But, I already have enough martial arts material that it would take me a lifetime to master without anything new. And yet there's always just that, like, but the next technique, that one's going to be the best technique. And I'll always have that feeling. But even in that, you need to just kind of stop and say, I'm so lucky to live in a world where I have people who came before me who developed these martial arts that I have an opportunity to partake in and to learn from, and to, hopefully at some point carry on that tradition. And it's the same with music. We really should stop sometimes and just be like, you know what? I'm so lucky to have all the things that I have. And I say that again, obviously, from someone who has a lot of gear. There's a lot of people who have way less gear than I have. There are quite a few people who have way more gear than I have. All you need to do is join a PRS Facebook group, and you'll be like, wow, that's crazy. And again, yeah, fine, good. Get the gear that you want. Get the gear that looks nice on your wall, or that you play, until it's like practically sawdust. Whatever it is that makes you happy, but never lose sight of the fact that we live in a world where we're lucky to have all this stuff, and sort of be willing to pare it down in your mind to just that pure desire to create music. All right, this is a super, super preachy real guitar talk video today. I get that. I apologize for the preachiness. It's just something that's been on my mind, and it's been on my mind as someone who does YouTube. I mean, honestly, the point of my channel has always been very, very focused on gear. I'm a songwriter. I'm a performer, just like the rest of you. A big part of this channel for me is just the opportunity to get to play for people and talk about the tools of what we use to make this music that I'm just very, very interested in. But I never started this channel in the sense of just like, like I'm going to be a salesman and get people all kinds of gear and make money off of it. It was just like, it was like, these are cool tools that I feel like are good to make music, and I want to share that knowledge with people so that they can make music. But it too easily goes down that consumerism road, and again, it's just, I think, important to once in a while step back and be like, we have so much, let's really focus on what's extremely important, which is making that music. So that's what I have to say about this. Please let us know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think consumerism takes hold too much? Do you think we lose sight of what's really important? How much gear do you think we actually need? There is an argument that can be made to say, like, yeah, you need a little bit more than that, again, because the right gear and the good gear it is inspiring, and it does give you opportunities to create music in different ways. You know, like for instance, here's a great example. Like, obviously, one of these people's not a guitar player, but I think you'll understand what I'm saying. Keith Richards would need less gear than Brian Wilson would, if that makes sense. Or, you know, maybe a better analogy is Keith Richards would need less gear than Jimi Hendrix would, since he is a guitar player. There is a case to be made for, like, hey, you hear certain sounds in your head, you have certain creative directions you want to go that you need a little bit more for. I'm totally kind of open to that argument, but again, my point is if it were stripped down, if all you had access to were the bare minimum, would you still be able to make music? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. I'm Jack Fossett. We'll see you next time.